Hit me with your best shot. Fire away. I'm sorry. Let me stop. Get this ready. We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. Come on, Rumble. You know what to do. Let's get it on. Welcome to the Revolutionary Blackout Network Roundtable. It is the roundtable for November. Yes, we are a little bit late, but that's because last week was a holiday. But good to see all of you here on this beautiful Thursday evening. I am one of your hosts, James Fauntleroy, and hello to my sister and brother. Good to see you guys this evening.
What's poppin'? It's great to be live as always. My beautiful RBN family, Sabby, Jaybe, what's poppin'?
What's going on, Jaybe? What's going on, Nick?
All right. So just to let you guys know, every single last Thursday of the month, you have the RBN Roundtable featuring all of us coming together like Voltron. So you guys have that there. If you guys that not already, go ahead and give a like to the stream. This helps us out very much. Thank you for all of that. Also, if you guys have not, you guys can also join our mailing list at revolutionaryblackout.substack.com. This gives you email notifications whenever we go live, so you guys have that there. And also, if you guys would like to, you guys can also get in contact with us at revolutionaryblackout@outlook.com. This is if you guys have any stories or any questions, things like that, or just some encouraging words, you guys can also do that there as well. And thank you so very much for all of the love. All right. So first of all, let me say this. I am exhausted. I went to the gym earlier today. Okay, so I was in Tampa, and then I came back. I went to the gym. I kicked my own ass. I'm mad at myself for kicking my own ass. I'm proud of myself for kicking my own ass. Why? Because I'm inspired. And who was I inspired by? By these two folks right here, right? Because they're doing the damn thing on the ground, and then they're also doing work in the gym, you know, working on the fitness. And I'm just like, I got to be more like that. So first of all, I just want to give a thank you to you both for being an inspiration for me and helping me to be a better version of myself. Thank you so much.
Nah, JB, I was just hyping you up. I don't know if you saw it, but I was hyping you on my earlier stream because you just had an amazing mutual aid event. Like, JB is building something special in Orlando, my friends. And if there was anyone who had an excuse, it would be JB and James Fontori. But he is out there in the streets. He organized a mutual aid, and it's very inspiring. You know what I mean, and that's why this community, I will always cherish it, and we will continue to grow because we motivate each other. We inspire each other to be better. And JB, you already know when we meet up, you know, I'm gonna give you some nice boxing legends. I'm gonna have JB throwing hands on these dudes, man. RBN, we're gonna be out here, but it's good to see you doing well. JB looking nice as always.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, JB, you've really been killing it. You really have been. I mean, all of us, I think, really been killing it. Like not just on the ground, but also physically in the gym or on the streets or in the ring. In Nick's case, in the ring. But yeah, it's really important. Like you got to make sure you're taking care of yourself, right?
Definitely. And I just want to give a shout out to a few people. We'll make this very quick because we got 4 stories to get to. But we have Cope Commander says smoking that CEO healthcare boss pack today. And down went the bourgeois prick. You love to see it. I got to be careful.
That's why I'm having all the fun I can on X because X is much more free. So yeah, X is a blast right now. And there are a lot of professional managerial class and a lot of CEO aspirants among the liberal class are horrified what they're seeing right now because they're just now realizing how much the working class despise the CEO class. Liberals are just now realizing that we don't separate someone murdering someone with a gun with someone murdering someone with paperwork. There's no difference between those. And I think there's like this mindset among the suburban class that they separate their professional work from their morality. So they exploit labor, they get their wealth through ill-gotten means. So they think we're supposed to separate that. In America, there's a lot of people who work hard. They're hardworking, honest people, and they could make more money than screw people. They make the decision not to. If you're a healthcare CEO, you made the active decision to screw people. But I know we could get to that later, Jake. I don't want to get to it. We get to that later.
Of course. We got Robbie Burns coming in saying, "Damn, I just can't wait." Yep. Thank you so very much. We got John H coming in saying, "Woo." Yeah. We got Jay from one Jay to another. I'm not going to say that, but who got JR? You know what I'm saying? Our word is samurai. Oh my goodness. Says Jefferson Starship Baby. I don't know what that means, but nice to have you. Mo Palm says, "Built this city, built this town." Yes, we built this city on rock and roll. Exodus Comics says, "Yo, good to see you." Eric T. Red, my MCDS brother from another mother, says, "Yo." All right. Smoke Guitar coming in saying, "Yeah." All right. We have the Revolution Will 23 says, "It's the triangle." Oh, yeah, we're about to triangulate your asses up in here. Thank you very much. All right. I know, that was weird. Sorry, guys. DJ Leader says, "Power Hour RBN fam." All right, good to see you, DJ Leader. Let me see. Who else we got? We got Dabby Dabs coming in saying, "Love to the fam." ACAB includes Ice and Border Patrol says, "Hey, everyone." Amy coming in saying, "I already mentioned it elsewhere, but do you all think that the three Christmas spirits wanted to visit Mr. CEO, but the assassin just got there faster?" Look, we'll talk. We'll talk.
We're gonna get there.
Oh yeah, we'll get to it. The Voodoo Cuisine says, "You guys are all awesome. James, kindness is a superpower." Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys should check out Jaybe's channel because James he does a lot of in-depth theory readings as well on the channel, and that's something I want to mention as well. Like the growth that we've seen from Jane Fauntleroy has been incredible, especially since you start reading history and theory, and we always can sharpen our knowledge in terms of history and theory base. We need an educated, intellectual working class movement. And you follow JB channel, it's the most substantive channel. Like every episode is heavy hitting. But go ahead, JB. You know I take my moment to hype.
Thank you so much. Let's get to Senora Chemonik says, "Guys, how Rome's doing? Rome is doing okay. If you're on Twitter, follow his girlfriend. Her name is Cheryl. And so she's been giving updates on him. I will be posting the GoFundMe in the chat so you guys can have that information there. But yes, he is doing okay. And yeah, shout out to Rome as well. Let's go to Egg D says 100 speak. And yeah, that too. Thank you so very much. Tony Clifton says there must be a saccharine version of RBN. Saccharine. What's that again? I forgot. That word sounds familiar. Is that like a type of sugar? I can't remember. Yeah. And then Hobo Roadie will do, "Man, you guys were far down the page." Oh, so YouTube had us way down. Okay. Thank you so very much for that.
Make sure you share the stream, like the stream, subscribe if you watch it for the first time. You know, help us beat the algorithm. It's been kicking our ass recently. Yeah.
And then one more. Rondo says, first their first mistake is believing that they're safe.
That's what I was talking about. Like, I was on, like, bro, you had these fucking CEOs walking among us with no security detail. They think we pussy. They could walk around with no security detail. They getting way too comfortable.
Well, I have some thoughts about that because me and my sister-in-law were talking. And guys, let's take a look at the thumbnail, and then we'll get into what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, we'll get into the first subheading. First of all, Yoon got stupid. We know he thought, and it didn't happen. All right. Then Hunter got pardoned, which means his daddy got stupid. And everybody thought that, oh, well, that's his son. It's okay. No. Because we saw the hypocrisy. ADOS, affirmative action. We're going to be talking about that because that's an interesting story I found. And I'm like, that is something to talk about. And then a CEO got. Oh, my goodness. So I want to start off. Where were y'all when it happened? Sabs, let's start off with you. Where were you when it happened? And then Nick, where were you when it happened?
I was at the gas station when it happened. I was at the gas station when I saw that pop up on my phone, and I was like, okay, let me look into this story a little bit more. Crazy.
Nick, where were you at?
You guys see I've been sharing my thoughts on X about it because when I first saw the story, I didn't believe it. I'm like, nah, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. He died. The healthcare CEO died. Then when I realized it was real, that's when the fun began because I have a hotspot that just released about an hour ago where I sum up my thoughts. But do you guys know how health insurance companies make their money? You know, insurance companies in general, they turn a profit every time they deny someone health care. So their business model being to reject as many people as possible so we can turn a profit. What a fantastic healthcare system we have, isn't it, Sabby? James?
Yeah, I was gonna say there are certain codes. So like if you go to the doctor or whatever hospital, and then the doctor will say, well, we're going to bill your insurance, and then we'll send if there's remaining balance, we're going to send that to you and expect you to pay that, right? So then what happens from there is that information is sent to whatever health insurance company that you have, and then they decide based on the code, because there's certain codes for different illnesses. And whatever the code is can determine whether or not they're going to say no. It's not just United Healthcare, but when I worked in healthcare, I worked in billing, and United Healthcare and Cigna were the worst companies to pay. They had the most rejections. So we would always have to contact them and ask them and beg them to pay. Now, Blue Cross was pretty good about paying, but not as good as obviously TRICARE or Medicare. Medicare was the best at paying for those services, but that's the way it works. There's a medical code that is submitted on the paperwork, and what the insurance company does is they scan the code, and if the code is one of the ones that they reject, they automatically reject it. But the codes can change. So one year they may not reject a code, but then next year they may change it and say, we're not accepting this code anymore.
Yeah. And what do you guys think is the consequence of people consistently being denied care? Because obviously there are a lot of people like me who don't have health care, but one of the largest reasons why people go into medical debt because their insurance companies refuse to cover their costs. And I think it was Blue Cross, Blue Shield who said they're not covering anesthesia now.
They just
they just walked it back. Why? That's the result of the pursuit of never-ending profits. So if your profits is based on how many people you deny, and you have to reach a profit goal next quarter, then you must deny more people. Then you must have less than you cover, and it gets worse, and it gets worse, and it gets worse. Why do you guys think Americans pay the most for healthcare costs? That's what happens when your central planning model puts something as important as healthcare and makes it profit driven. Yeah. So there are a lot of people, and Jay, I know you want. I'll pass to you, James. But there are a lot of people who get concerned about like private property Like, I don't want your TV, brother. I don't want your car. I don't want your sofa. You know what? You know what can happen? You can't own a hospital in a coherent society. That's my position, unapologetically. Oh, come on, Nick. You say you want to abolish private property? I don't give a fuck about your car. I promise you, there's not a single socialist communist that cares about what the proletariat have. I unapologetically believe that a concept of a healthcare CEO shouldn't exist. Sorry for the long monologue. James, I'll pass it to you. I have a lot of thoughts on the story, as you guys can tell.
So just for, just for careful sake, so this is just still screen, and that's what happened. And so for people who are not aware, this was in New York early in the morning. And my question is, what is a millionaire healthcare CEO doing walking the streets in the dark in New York early in the morning by himself without security detail? That's my question.
And that boy was professional. You can't play the clip, but that boy was moving like when you play like Grand Theft Auto and you gotta do like those assassination missions and you can't get caught. You know how I'm sorry, I'm a nerd. You know how you put the silencer on your gun? So you don't get caught.
That's what I thought of too. When I first saw the video, I was like, this looks like Grand Theft Auto, because then they said he jumped on one of the bikes, the bikes that they have lined up in the city.
Yeah.
They said then he jumped on a bike and sped off. I was like, this is like Grand Theft Auto.
Mm.
That man is the Riddler. That man over here dropping clues, leaving messaging on the bullets. This story, like, this has been a year full of hilarious stories to me, but this definitely top one to me. Like, everything about this fucking legend who left, deny, pose. James, I know you'll get to that later. I don't want to spoil your segment too much, but this guy's a goddamn legend.
No, that's
I'm not advocating for anything. I'm gonna say this right now for YouTube. Not advocating for anything. I am just a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. We're not allowed to advocate for the Second Amendment no more. That's all I'm doing. Doing. Go ahead, James.
So let me share this because this is a good point. So friend to the channel, DD Geopolitics, I want to share this. DD Geopolitics, let me enlarge this just so if in case this video starts playing, we don't see it. So it says, deny, defend, and depose, etched in bullets that murdered the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. Police sources told ABC News that the casings were found at the scene with the cryptic messages left on them. Video captured the moment the masked gunman walked up behind the CEO, pointed his gun at him, and fired multiple times. After the shooting, the suspect fled on foot into an alley where a phone was recovered, according to the pigs. He fled on an e-bike and was last seen riding into Central Park. So that's exactly what happened. Deny, defend, depose.
And now that's big, JB, because in the beginning when the story first came out, and there was a lot of confusion. And to be honest, my first thought was I thought there was like some sort of inner industry capitalist mafia hit. Like, you guys understand, the capitalist class is full of criminals. So when I first saw this, I'm like, this is probably not like a worker like launching out at them. It's probably like an organized hit because the people who can afford hitmen are the capitalist class. I thought it was probably some inner beef. But then when you see the messaging on the bullets, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sabby, I don't know if you want to chime in, but this is like based on a memo that United helped put out where they said this is like their business model. Deny, then defend, and then depose. But am I correct, Chad? I think I read about that, but so that made it seem like it's a message that wanted to be sent to the healthcare CEO. That's what makes this a big story to me, instead of just random capitalist violence, which definitely happened. Sabby, JB?
Yeah, and it's depose, and depose means remove. Right. So deny the claim, defend the lawsuit, depose the patient. So, yeah, this was personal. The guy that was after him, it was personal. So.
Yeah, because some people were saying they were asking the question, like, was this a hit that was by some, because some people were like, was this the wife? Was this a family member? Was this another company? Was this a hit? And something tells me, because if those bullet casings where those words were etched on it weren't there, then I would think that. But because of that cryptic message on the bullets, I'm like, nah, that's a revenge plot. That's exactly what that is. And I'm like, man, somebody lost a loved one and now they're pissed. That's
one thing I found out too, I don't know if you have the clip of this, JB, but he was under investigation.
Yeah. So in fact, thank you very much for that, Sabs, because that actually goes into the article that I was just going to get into. See, I love the way we think. All right. So it says United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson fatally shot in targeted attack. Gunman still at large. Oh wait, I had the article another spot. I'm sorry. I had the other article in another spot. Oh, here it is. That's not it. But yes, he was under. Got it. Sorry about that. All right, let me share my screen. I was like, I knew I had it. Okay. So this is out of the Huffington Post. It says slain United Healthcare CEO was accused of insider trading amid Department of Justice probe.
So he was going to Nancy Pelosi, as some people call it.
Mm-hmm. The blurb says Brian Thompson dumped more than $15 million in stock before a federal antitrust investigation into the insurance giant was publicly revealed, a lawsuit claims. So this came out earlier today. It says that Brian Thompson was facing a lawsuit accusing him and other executives of insider trading related to an ongoing Justice Department investigation before he was fatally shot outside of a New York City hotel on Wednesday. Thompson, who was 50 years old, was one of the 3 United Health Group executives named in a class action lawsuit filed in May that accused them of dumping millions of dollars worth of stock while the company was subject to a federal antitrust investigation, which investigators say wasn't immediately disclosed to shareholders. And so it says nearly $25 billion in shareholder value was erased once the investigation was publicly revealed on February. Thompson was able to sell off more than 15 million of his own United Health shares before the value dropped. However, the suit states it was the first time that Thompson had sold shares since becoming CEO of the company's insurance division in 2021. That was from Crane's New York Business Report. So, I mean, let's be real. Like,
not a good dude.
Not a good one.
No, I hate the way they're trying to make it seem like the corporate media is trying to make it seem like, oh, this poor guy and his poor family. I'm like, not a good dude. Not a good.
No, but that just goes to show, though, that a lot of these people who are in the upper echelons of our society economically, they had to do some exploitative, dirty things to get to where they are. And if you're willing to do that, that means you're just not a good person. Because you've gotten that far. And so when we talk about the people who are at the top, where's he, some people are praising and kissing the boot of CEOs like Elon Musk, Harlan Crow, and Charles Koch. And I'm just like, what in the hell? You guys will sit here and demonize somebody that maybe sells, a couple of what on the side of the road, but yet you guys ain't got no smoke for the people who are literally selling weapons, the people who are literally selling drugs that literally kill people, like the Sackler family, and you don't want to actually go after them, but you're going to go after somebody who's poor, who's just trying to, survive? Come on now.
Think about how many people the Sackler family was allowed to continue to kill over the years before they even had to testify in front of Congress. I mean, this went on for over 20 years. They let them get away with all that.
Yep, absolutely. Like, we need to focus on who the real criminals are. Nick, were you sharing this?
Yeah, he kills people by penny. I was showing the liberal meltdown. These are the people who are the most morally repugnant people in the world. These are the people who would cheer on the slaughter of Palestinians by Israel. You know, the genocide where 70% of victims are women and children? Rah, 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 Israel. And then they've been attacking people for celebrating the death of a CEO. A great way to create a block list to include anyone who cheers the assassination of a 50-year-old husband and father. He's a husband and father now. Like all criminals. A lot of criminals are husbands and fathers. These people separate murder by a weapon as if it's different than murder by paperwork. And that's what this guy does. He murders people by paperwork. Anyway, that's all I was showing in the background. Something else I found interesting is you guys see the 24/7 police manhunt for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I have a good friend who has a story. I don't want to share it for out of respect for her, but she had a story. She was raped, and she filed a police report. And there's so many stories you can find similar to this, where like women will like file police reports about being raped. Someone will file a report about being assaulted, and police be like, "Get the fuck out of here!" They don't give a fuck about spending any resources. And this is why I funded 10 demands. The police don't serve us. They're not trying to solve our murders. Most rape kids don't even get tested. Like there's so much evidence and stories of the police not giving a single fuck about solving crime because the Supreme Court said it's not their job. Now compare that to how they're treating this, where there's a full-scale manhunt. The police is making statements, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, I can't believe they're doing this out in the open. Sabby, James, they tell us every day, like out loud, that the life of the billionaire class is way more useful than the life of the American people. How much resources are they spending? I saw a press conference, like, yeah, we're not sparing any expense. I wish I had a clip. This guy was like, we're not sparing any expense. All men will be out in the field looking for this guy. When have they ever did that for anyone of the working class?
They don't. They only do that for people that have money, which again shows you how they protect wealth, right? Like, look how long, all these years, they still been trying to solve the murder of John Benet Ramsey, right? So again, wealthy family. Like the Ramseys, like that couple was very wealthy. That's why you still till this day continue to hear about it. But kids go missing all the time. Like kids go missing from working class families all the time. You don't see the police trying to still solve their murders. Most of the time, they're just like, oh, it's a lost cause. If you're a runaway, forget about it. You're a runaway from a poor working class family. The police are not trying to really find you. You have a better chance of being found by a documentary filmmaker than by the police.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One thing I want to do is I want to share this because there is a lot of people who are getting upset at the working class basically experiencing, it's a German word, I think it's Schadenfreude. Somebody in the chat will correct me. I think it's called Schadenfreude, but it's basically,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but it's basically the feeling of somebody getting their comeuppance, right? Because they've been a horrible person. And some people are getting upset about it. And I just want to get you guys' take about, yes, Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude, sorry. Yes, I said it incorrectly. But what are you guys' feeling about this? Because on one hand, I'm like, does this actually move the needle forward when it comes to actually working class? I feel like it doesn't. It's just almost like when you get mad and you punch somebody in the face, it felt good at the time, but does it really solve the issue, right? Even though it's like, for me, I look at it like Malcolm X, chickens just came home to roost. What do you guys think?
It's very important because not every action leads to a direct result. It's about building something. We have to send a message to the capitalist class that they do not monopolize violence. Let me repeat. We have to send a message to the capitalist class that they do not monopolize violence. And there are people like this, and I want to share this. And I think this relates, and Sabby, I'll pass it to you as well, because this is what I was looking for. I found it. I can get to this later, because these are the people who like melting down about the murder of the CEO. And I also think this also is a great opportunity because of this massive event to answer the question directly as well. Now there's a lot of conversations about this guy's sins. There's a lot of conversations about health insurance companies, the proper way to resist the capitalist class. And it's very uncomfortable, but political power is obtained by the barrel of a gun. and once real left movements understand that, that's when we can actually start challenging power. That's my initial take to that question. I will let you hear what Sabby says. But I want to show you guys this is what I was looking for earlier. I don't know why I couldn't find it. Like this is like anyone who on Twitter knows this guy. He's like the textbook shit lib guy. Like this guy is such a shit lib. He was fighting against the people who wanted to replace Joe Biden, for example. Like he was like a ride or die Biden guy, ride or die Obama guy. And this is like the mindset that we got pushed back on. And we're in this moment right now where we are able to do this. We're in a moment right now where you have people like Ken Klippenstein who can share what we shared earlier about how health insurance companies that he was running would deny people care. And look at this. And this is what the liberals are saying. I got a larger point I'm making here. Absolutely depraved to get your dunks in when the guy was just murdered in cold blood. And he also then continued to say, criticize his company all you want. He said dude was not a mass murderer. He said he wants us to be kind to a mass murderer. He explains how the guy is not a mass murderer. Criticize his company all you want. I agree that our healthcare system is a mess, but him being gunned down is not justifiable. You guys see how the liberal class, they separate sins done by the pen? Sins done by the pen, sins done by paperwork are the most violent. Easily the most violent, the responsible for the most death and destruction, but they professionally separated. But I want to get Sabby in here. To Jaybe question, you want to add? Go ahead.
You said by pen. I was just going to give an example of the crime bill, because that was another example where that's paperwork that was very violent, obviously primarily towards Black men. So that's another example. So when people say, well, Republicans, and not all, but some Republicans, they said this and they said that. And I think there needs to be criticism there. But I think it's also important that we point out things that have been done by legislation that made things either harder or, were very traumatic towards communities, especially towards Black communities. So there's no way. This is why I tried to say over and over again, Joe Biden has had 4 years to try to right the wrong of the crime bill. And just saying, this happened during that time, et cetera, and we're moving forward. No, that's not okay, especially when you can sit up there and pardon, your son. And now it's looking like he's going to pardon some of the people that he thinks that Trump will go out after, including Dr. Fauci. You need to take the time to sit there and pardon all of those men that were victims of your crime bill, who still have records till this day. So that's why I say, like, Nick has a point when he says, like, look at the crimes that have been done by paper.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to also get into this too, because there are some people who are basically saying that we're wrong for people being celebratory. This is Matt Lick. I think he's from Majority Report.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Hang on. Let me see. I don't want that hold music. Hang on.
What the heck?
What?
Got rickrolled.
I saw it playing. Hang on.
But this is why I despise liberals. Sorry, Sam, go ahead.
That guy's not from Majority Report. I think that's a joke. He does a lot of sarcasm.
Oh, I saw his
So what he was saying in the video by the tune, he's basically saying like, you know, let's celebrate. Da da da. It says hold on. So yeah, but he's not. No, that guy's. He's kind of funny.
I want to be clear. I don't like or don't want vigilante justice. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I wish that we could do this like China. You know how China executes their billionaires? By state, by law and order? So yeah, I much prefer that we could do this by the books. But we live in a system of lawlessness by the capitalist class. So I'm not going to mourn or feel bad. Hell, I will even get a nudge towards, I'll be careful. Militancy, I'll just end it there. I'll be careful. Sabby, Jaybe. I said I'd be careful at the beginning, so I end my thought there. That's why, and I had a tweet I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of people who are insulated in the suburbanite class who, they don't see what people think. They horrified by the idea of seeing what people think. That's why they want social media to be cracked down, because they hate that the poor have a voice. They are horrified because they're now realizing how much the working class in America hates the capitalist class. And I hope they realize that what they see is still a fraction of the true hatred that we have for these parasitic scum, because we are still bound by the terms of service. Like, if people wasn't bound by the terms of service, we can tell you how we really feel, what we really want to happen. Right? But James, Sabby.
Yeah. I actually wanted to share this as well, because now people are actually on the lookout for the gunmen. I'm gonna be honest with you. Just remember Terminator 2. That kid was based. You know, because the thing is, ultimately, like, I'm not gonna. Here's my issue, though. Now people are trying to share and be like, "Oh, this is the guy," and I'm just like, you guys are trying to find murderers, but you guys literally have them all over Washington. You have them all over Wall Street, and you guys know their faces, and yet you're not going after them. But when some working class person does something against the capitalist class, oh, there he is. Why are you bootlicking? My thing is, I'm not saying a damn thing, because ultimately what needs to happen is we need to actually start having solidarity with each other, instead of, why are you having solidarity with somebody who doesn't give a damn about you?
Absolutely, JB.
That's my question. Also, it's wrong. It's just like it's just like, if I see somebody taking a can of baby formula at a store, I ain't see nothing.
Also, $10,000, like that's the reward.
Yeah. Another thing, to JB's point, how we gotta have, and the only way we're gonna challenge this uniquely evil empire by having class solidarity, the likes of humanity never seen before. Like, there has to be such a mass class consciousness among workers to be among each other and support each other, which is another reason why, like, I gotta be very careful what I say here. Like, this is a stream where we holding back a lot here. I mean, what's the best way for me to phrase this? Me and Rome, we talked about how, and we look at what Rome been through, and he not shy about what he has done in the past, but it's about gang banging for your community. You know what I mean? And it always drove me crazy. Why y'all gang banging and robbing each other? Y'all broke. You know what I mean? Niggas robbing each other. So if instead of having violence of the proletariat, once again, I'm being extremely careful here. Instead of having violence of the proletariat and having workers go after each other, how about we have more fucking planned and calculated violence? Violence that actually roots out evil, instead of gang banging with each other. But that's the best I have. That's like the best way I can say what I want to say without getting us completely fucking mad.
Yeah. And another thing that I wanted to bring up was that now and you mentioned this earlier, was that a lot of people are now talking about the perils of private healthcare. People are now actually sharing their stories about their horror stories about private health insurance and how it's been horrible for them. There are people who are sharing, how they've been denied, and first of all, I want to share this too, because I think this is really important. Sabby, you were talking about this and I appreciate it. But this gives an explanation. It says deny, defend, depose. So it says deny. Healthcare institutions have historically adopted deny and defend strategy when confronted with allegations of medical errors. This approach involves denying any wrongdoing and vigorously defending against malpractice claims, often at the expense of transparency and patient trust. Defend is, in this context, defend refers to the legal defense mounted by healthcare providers and their insurers in response to malpractice lawsuits. This defense aims to protect the reputation and financial interests of the medical professionals and institutions involved. And then depose is, the term depose pertains to the process of taking sworn out-of-court testimony from witnesses during the discovery phase of a malpractice lawsuit. The depositions are critical for gathering information and formulating legal strategies.
You see how the ruling class has theory? Like, theory is more than just Marxist theory, guys. There's ruling class theory. There's theory on how you maintain an empire, theory on how you properly steal the value of workers. You guys see, they have processes, they have procedures. That's why we advocate for the working class to have the same. That's why I reject people. Oh, well, we don't need read theory. We don't need theory. We don't need plan. Yes, we do. The ruling class does. So we need to as well. But go ahead, James.
I also wanted to share this as well because there people are literally sharing their letters. It says to be determined to when, Throwback Thursday, when United Healthcare repeatedly denied my son's wheelchair. And then here's the letter.
They getting cooked. Holy shit, they getting cooked. But so this is what I was talking about earlier. This is great news because now everyone is using this moment to share why this guy deserved it. Essentially, go ahead, Jay.
I was also gonna say too. I don't think people may realize, unless you've been through it or you worked in the healthcare system, wheelchairs are not easy to get. And you guys know those little scooters that, like, sometimes you go to the store and you may see someone sitting on one of those little electric scooters and they're, just kind of moving around on that. Those little electric scooters are really hard it's really difficult to get insurance companies to pay for those. Yeah. I don't think a lot of people understand, like, what someone has to go through just to get the wheelchair, just to get the little electric scooter. Like, there's a number of times where these claims are constantly denied and you have to keep refiling. Like, so that's another thing, like with the insurance companies, like there's just a lot of things that they do not pay for.
And another thing I want to add right now, it is open enrollment period. And I cannot tell you, if you have anybody that has Medicare in your family or friends, they're getting inundated with calls for Medicare Advantage programs, which basically means that the private insurers will ultimately have will basically be your insurer with the backing of Medicare, right? Which means they're going to be making more money off of people like me and you, those of us who do have Medicare. And I cannot tell you how many people from foreign countries are calling my number in order to try to get me to switch from Medicare to Medicare Advantage. Basically, they are paying pennies on the dollar, people in other countries, in order to get you to switch to their private corporation so they can make more money off of you and deny you care. And this is the problem with this for-profit health insurance industry. I say for-profit insurance industry in general, but the for-profit health insurance industry. And this is why we have been saying, and I said this in a tweet, Brian Thompson would still be alive if we had Medicare for all, or if we had a nationalized healthcare system. He would have been alive. He wouldn't have got whacked, because the thing is, it's like he wouldn't have been able to deny anybody, because everybody would have had healthcare by then.
I wonder too if this isn't the only person. Like, I wonder whoever the shooter is, I wonder if this is, we don't know, but I wonder if maybe this is the first person and maybe he has a plan to go after others as well. We don't know. We know he got away. And the pictures online keep changing, by the way. The pictures.
Let me ask you guys, first Nick and then you, Sabby. Do you think that this guy will ever get caught?
The pictures keep, this is what I'm saying. The pictures online keep changing. Like there was one short article that said it was a light-skinned man. So we all knew that was not a light-skinned.
No, we didn't.
We all knew this was not a black dude. So there was that. Yeah, and then especially with nowadays with AI and stuff like that, like you have to be careful that the pictures that you're seeing online are actually real pictures that were produced and it's not pictures that have been altered. So you got to pay attention to that too. That's why I'm saying, like, I don't know, the pictures online continue to change. Somebody somewhere may have sat back and they're like, hey, is that so-and-so? But 9 times out of 10, they're probably not going to say anything, especially for $10,000.
This boy is a legend. Like he's like, you guys know how in those martial art movies, like the Jackie Chan movies, you have a guy who like throw like a smoke bomb on the ground and disappears. He did the job, threw a smoke bomb on the ground, disappeared, and was never to be found ever again. If he gets away with this, anyway, much power to him. I gotta be very careful. Much power to this boy. I mean, it's definitely very professional how he had an exit plan. That boy executed. Yeah. He had threw a smoke ball down. He knew exactly what the hell he was doing.
He was waiting for him. He was waiting because if you watch the video, you can tell he was waiting in the shadows, just waiting for him to walk by. And then here's another thing. He must have been waiting there for quite a long time because how did he know that Brian Thompson was going to be there exactly at that time? Because the conference, I believe, started at 8 a.m. You could have gotten there at 6:30, 7:30. You don't know. They said he got there, I think, around 6:30 or 6:40 or something like that. How did they know he was going to get there exactly at that time? So who knows how long they were waiting for him to show up?
He was waiting on the world to change. Sorry.
Yeah, man. Once again, everyone know, man, if you got a case to join out, he had an exit plan. This man, he put, it was a nice little heist, man. That's all I'm gonna say. James. Yeah.
Look, with that being said, look, this is an ongoing story. I'm gonna be eyes peeled
before you wrap the story. Can I say one more thing, and just to highlight why the ruling class is upset about this, and the sugar on top, the cherry on top, I should say. I saw some liberal fuck who was mourning this guy. He was explaining how he was like, this is even more tragic when you realize that the average life expectancy of a CEO is 88 years old. So he's like, it's more tragic because he was 50. He could have lived another 38 years old because when you're a CEO, you understand you live longer. And that is exactly what scares these capitalist people. They have all the healthcare, they have all the medicines. They plan to live to 100. So when you a CEO like this guy and you get clipped in your 50s, woo, that's a tragedy. If only you supported Medicare for all, man, you could have made it to 88. Go ahead, James.
Should have stuck with the working class. So with that being said, y'all.
Yeah.
Oh my God, violin. Think about how many more people died in 30 years.
Somebody else is going to take that place. So it's not like the company goes away. So they're still going to be denying claims.
Yeah, the system's still in place. And that's another point that I wanted to make is that the systems need to be destroyed because it's like Hydra. Cut off one head, 2 more shall take its place, right? It's the same thing. The system needs to go. And I think that's one of the things that I really want to convey is that systems need to be destroyed and replaced with something that is actually for the people, not something that's for the billionaires.
Absolutely. But you guys know this, and I agree 100% with everything Sabby and Jaybe just said. But you guys know this, despite that, I'm still having a lot of fun with this story because any revolution or any movement without joy is not a movement at all. So in the process of doing this, in the process of educating people about the crimes of big pharma and healthcare insurance CEOs, we can laugh and we can have fun, especially at the crimes of our ruling class. Remember, it's extremely healthy to hate the ruling class. It's extremely healthy to have disdain for these people and cheer when something bad happens to them. Because if you don't want something bad to happen, people to cheer when something bad happens to you, you live a life of honor. That's why it's important to live a life of honor. Because if you don't live a life of honor, you deserve to have your grave danced on. And people will say, hey, Nick, aren't you worried that after you die, people may talk shit about you after you die? What are they going to say? They're gonna trash me for making hotspot videos? Oh, you goddamn mute. I got a clean ass conscience, bro. There's nothing you're gonna say after I die. If you don't want to get trashed after death, like this guy is, live a life of honor. Period. That's my last thought on the story.
All right. With that being said, go ahead and give a like to the stream. Thank you so very much. Let's go to just a couple comments in the chat, and then we'll move on to the next one. Looks like we're good on the Rockfin side. Let me check on the Rumble to see if we got any Rumble rants. I don't think that we do, but we can always check. Actually, yes, we do. We got one Rumble rant. Okay, cool. So let's get into that, and then we shall move on to the rest of the chat. All right. Thank you so very much. All right, to Big John, 32904-867-5309. Says, not surprising it happened, just surprising it took so long to happen. Oh, all right, Big John.
I'll be right back.
All right. And so let's go into these comments in the chat. H. Kill says, nobody hates Americans more than America. Yeah. Thank you. Justin B says, the thing that concerns me about this execution is that it might give Trump an opening to declare martial law. These are dark times. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, thank you very much.
Are the people going to allow it to happen, though? These are the questions that we got to ask ourselves. It's a hard situation to be under, but there's a certain point where the working class can't allow them to get away with this bullshit no more. There's a certain point at the revolution, and we're far from there. Don't get me wrong. We're far away from this point. There's a certain point in the revolution where we have to call the ruling class's fucking bluff. You have to wait until you have enough manpower. You have to wait till you have the movement in place. You have a militia in place. But there's going to be a point where you're going to have to call the ruling class's bluff. Because if we ever really successful, they're going to call in the National Guard. If we was ever successful, you're gonna see what people fear. Because I see comments. I know the only reason I'm popping off like this because I see comments like this all the time. They're like, well, if we get violent in the capitalist class, what happens if they retaliate? Then game on. There's a point where you call their bluff and the revolution starts, and that is shown throughout the course of history. Jaybe, I don't want to rant too long. I'll let you. Yeah. But that's the only thing I'll say to that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much to Gangrene Thumb says, I threatened United H if they didn't approve common asthma med. I was going to the emergency room. Only then they paid. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Man, yeah. It's like every single time somebody watches Star Wars and the Death Star is destroyed, which to me is like, it's better to destroy the Death Star, which represents a system, than to take down a stormtrooper. The thing is like ultimately, that's, why I am, so adamant about making sure that we do what we can systemically instead of just doing it, one, stormtrooper at a time, essentially. Thank you very much for the tip on Rockin' Roger. He says, the problem of healthcare won't fix itself, everyone, and neither will politicians, especially at the national level. Only we can fix this at state level. Oregon has passed single-payer healthcare last year. Who's next Time to take the bull by the horn and run them as citizen-led amendments to state constitution to appear on the 2026 ballot. Problem ain't going away. Thank you very much for that, Roger. Appreciate it. And then Roger also let me know that there was a rock bin. So thank you very much for that.
Appreciate it, Roger.
Yep. And then we got one more super sticker from James Starks coming in. Thank you very much. From one thing to another.
James Starks.
You gotta know we met him in Chicago, right?
Oh, for real?
Yeah. He's the OG Black Panther guy. We met him in Chicago. We had dinner and everything. He's the real deal. Like, it doesn't get more real than Roger. So big shout out to him. I got a lot of love for that guy. I mean, James. Sorry, James. There's no one more real. I got a lot of love. I met him in Chicago. He's close to the chairman. He's the guy who talked to Fred Hampton Jr. and helped clear that name.
Okay. I always thought he had a superhero name.
Yeah, James. I love that guy.
All right. Deuces, James Starks.
There's so many legitimate, real leftist organizers who just out here hiding behind aliases. Like, I talked to this guy in real life. He got some legitimate. I can't be bitter to himself, but this dude got some legitimate organizing chops. He's been there with the best of them. He's still fighting, and that's why he support RBN, because he like seeing young Black people in the game again. But trust me, when you guys see James Starks, he's real. I met him in Chicago. That motherfucker is legit. As old school Black Panther, he's legit. Just letting you guys know.
Cool. All right, everybody, give a shout out to James Starks in the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Great guy.
All right. So just want to be cognizant of time. Can we go to, let me see, which one should we go to next? What you guys want to do? Hunter got pardoned, ADOS affirmative action, or Yoon got stupid?
We can do the ADOS affirmative action one, because I think that one's probably the shortest of the stories. Yeah.
Sure thing. All right. So we're going to get into the next one. So ADOS affirmative action when it comes to college. Let's get into this. This is going to be a really interesting one. So there has been this article that came out that I wanted to share, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on it really quick, because I thought this was, pretty interesting. I mean, for a temporary thing for Black people, especially Black Americans, I think it's a good thing. So this is out of Newsweek. It says descendants of slaves could receive priority college admission. So this says a new bill introduced by the California Assembly member Isaac Bryant aims to give descendants of slaves priority for admission to the University of California and California State University. The proposed legislation, which Bryan, a Democrat representing in Los Angeles, will present to the state legislature, seeks to address historical inequities and promote restorative justice for African Americans in California. The bill comes while lawmakers prepare for a new session amid growing concerns over potential challenges to diversity initiatives under the incoming Trump administration. It says Bryan expressed hope that the bill would pass, aligning with recommendations for California's Black Reparations Task Force. We have a moral responsibility to do all we can to right those wrongs. That's what Bryan said. He emphasized the need to address systemic injustices, noting that California has long provided preferential treatment to admissions to alumni children, often benefiting white and wealthy students, while excluding those impacted by slavery and racial discrimination.
Can we pause there for just a second, Jaybe? Because I think it's something important to point out. If you go back up to the headline of that second paragraph, support for reparations and rectifying past wrongs. So I do want to be very clear so people understand the timeline. There's a reparations task force in California, and Camilla's one of the people that is leading that effort. She's been on RBN a couple of times talking about their task force. They had legislation, which apparently they had the approval of California legislators. But when came time for the bill to be brought to the floor, apparently they decided not to vote on it from the leadership of Governor Gavin Newsom. So even though they had the votes, Gavin Newsom did not want them to vote on the legislation, so they never did. I covered that story. There was a lot of backlash from those that were the activists that were a part of the task force, and they said this isn't right. You guys made promises to us, etc. So this happened right before the election, and there were some people in the video saying, "You guys need to fix this, or we'll make sure that your friend Kamala Harris doesn't win." So Kamala didn't win anyway. But just to be clear, though, there's two things here. One, this is not reparations. I want to be very clear about that. What California is trying to do is they're trying to supplement the cash reparations that are owed to descendants of slavery in this country with other things, like let's let you have priority admission into these colleges. So first of all, not all descendants of slavery are going to go to college. Not everyone wants to go to college, right? Instead of paying what is owed. Two, a lot of times people will say there weren't slaves in California. That's actually false. There were slaves in California, which Camilla had broke this down beautifully when she came onto the show. So there's that. And then three, I want everybody to pay attention to that where it said racial discrimination as well. So it said, they were honoring legacy-based admissions, which California just got rid of. They just eliminated legacy-based admissions, which I agree that you shouldn't be able to get in because your dad or your mom went there, right? Like, so those people get a jump over everybody else. So it said that they were excluding those impacted by slavery and racial discrimination. And my question is, what about the Supreme Court? Because the Supreme Court, remember, they made that ruling last year that colleges and universities can no longer have affirmative action. So I guess the question I'm asking is, how are they going to be able to do this and get around the ruling from the Supreme Court? That's what I'm curious about. See, that's a great breakdown, Sabby, because my first reaction when I saw this was, this is a bunch of liberal bullshit. Because it's like you said, anyway, that was a great breakdown overall. What if you don't go to college? But secondly, the college degree is not even worth shit anymore. Barely. I got people that in my family got college degrees. They can't even find a job. So what does that even mean? Like, that's like the most, like, obviously, like, liberal way to seem like you're doing something. That was my first take. Maybe they got more into it, but Sabby was on point. 100% on point.
Yeah. I think I was putting the cart before the horse in my thoughts about this. I was like, it's a step in the right direction. But at the same time, it's like, it's good that they want, us to be able to go to school. But number one, not all of us are going to be able to go to school. What about the people who already have a degree who are African descendants of slavery?
Yeah, and this should be free anyway. Like, so you are like, K through 16 should already be free. In most civilized societies, it's free. So my reaction to this is we're going to give you free college. I'm going to pat yourself on the back for something that should be free for everyone in the first place. That's my initial reaction. But I'm always, and I don't blame you, James, if you want to take positive from the story. I'm just one of the motherfuckers that's like, bro, I want it all. I don't want the crumbs. I want it all. So I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with celebrating the story. But that's just my mindset. I'm always opposed to the obvious attempts of the ruling class giving crumbs. But nothing wrong with being optimistic, in my opinion. That's what I think. Go ahead, James.
Well, no, I mean, it's good to be skeptical because just like what Sabby was saying, this feels like a workaround instead of giving cash payments of reparations. It's like, okay, we'll give you college, and it's like, that's like trying to buy somebody a pepperoni pizza instead of paying them more at work. And it's like, and then the person that you're trying to give a pepperoni pizza to, they're like, I don't eat pork. What about those people? It's like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for everybody. And so this is the issue a lot of times when it comes to actually anything that's liberatory for when it comes to certain marginalized groups. It's like the Democrats are always trying to placate and work around it so that they can say, well, we did this for you, when in reality, they really didn't do jack squat. But then, the Republicans are like, we just don't want to do it. And so it's like you see how they work in tandem with each other. It's like they're like, oh, well, we know that we don't want to do it for you, but we're going to make it seem like we kind of do. So
Also, it's important to also pick it apart like Sabby did, because liberals also use these half measures as a as like a baseball bat, as a plug-in against the left. So whenever the left has a criticism of the Democrats, oh, don't you know they allowed descendants of slaves to go to college? So that's why it's important for us, even if you like the change, it's always important for us to consistently be negotiating. We should never set the crumbs, and we should never give them that out, if that makes sense. Sabby, do you want to chime in? I didn't mean.
I was just also going to say, too, it's very important that people look at the history of what happened to Black Americans in California. You know, it's not just about, oh, we'll let you have priority over college admission. There's also, you know, a realness when it comes to taking land and home ownership, which land has been stolen from Black families in California. And that is something that not only should have been addressed, but that needs to be fixed. Like you need to right that wrong. And the same way that they are able to, this country in particular was able to give reparations to Japanese Americans who were descendants of those that were part of the internment camps, cash reparations to them, is the same way that this country should give that to descendants of slavery as well. So it's not that it hasn't been done before. It has been done before. But it's important that we call this out so that people don't start to assume that little measures like these are the definition of reparations. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to change the definition of reparations, which actually was 40 acres and a mule. And that was established by General Sherman. They're trying to change that so that they don't have to give you any money. And they just want you to take like these little measures that they throw your way.
Great point. I want to kindly address this point before we move this to Jaybe. Reparations is messaged wrong. It needs to be presented as a labor issue, not a race issue. And from what I understand, and I'm very kindly taking this on, is that we absolutely make it a labor issue. One thing I will propose is, do you guys think that a lot of these people who are waging class war against us, who are actively opposed to reparations because they don't want the alien to happen, do you guys think they will change their mind if we changed our words around? That's not how things work. The only thing we can do is tell the truth. Now, secondly, we present it as a labor issue. That's how I know that us changing our wording wouldn't really matter. Because whenever I hear like the really well-informed reparations, people that many of them been on your channel, Sabby, they barely bring up race. When I hear like reparations, people talk about this issue, they talk about labor. They said reparations is about a dead old. That is as class-based as it gets. So if you're against a debt owed being paid where our labor value of our ancestors was stolen from us, you are waging class war against the Black proletariat. So the question I'm saying, I'll wrap it up here. My question is, why would, and I've asked this question many times, why would a poor white person oppose reparations? Why would they?
And where was all this opposition to it when it was given to those that were, descendants of our survivors and descendants of the Holocaust? Where was that opposition when it was given to Japanese Americans that were part of the internment camps? Where was that same opposition? It seems like to me, most of the opposition is when you talk about giving it to descendants of slavery, which I think a lot of people in this country in particular still don't really want to address and acknowledge. And this country has not been healed from what happened during slavery, not just that, but Jim Crow, the failings of the New Deal when it comes to the Black community, how some of those things, those benefits that were given to other groups were not given to Black Americans at that point in time under the New Deal. That also includes Indigenous Americans as well. So as much as people want to talk about, well, FDR was this great person, not really for Black Americans. And people have to understand that, there's redlining, there's Jim Crow, there's the crime bill, there's the war on drugs. There's a number of things that have happened since slavery that add into all of that as well. So people really have to understand that Black Americans in this country, we never had a full fair share when you compare it to our counterparts. And that includes, obviously, of course, white Americans, European Americans in this country, but also even those who came to this country after we were already here. They have been given more from our government than our government is willing to give descendants of slavery. So over time, there has been a constant I would say, trend from our government and from them, some in media as well, to try to just overlook this thing that happened. And the only time they want to talk about it is when it's Black History Month. The only time they want to bring it up is when it's Martin Luther King's birthday. But other than that, you're just supposed to move on with your lives and pretend that this didn't happen. You guys know there are Black people that are still having their land and homes stolen from them today. JB and I have covered some of these stories.
Yep.
So, Troy, just one quick point. I pass it back to you, James. On the class issue, like, you understand that the pursuit for reparations and restorative justice after the labor stolen from our ancestors, that would be the greatest act of confiscation of the wealth by the working class in history if it was pulled off. There's literally no more Marxist idea than reparation for Black Americans. It will be the largest transfer of wealth from the ruling class to the working class we have ever seen. But poor white people are opposed to it? Explain to me why the poor white person will be opposed to the largest transfer of wealth of all time from the ruling class to the poor working class. Because once again, poor white people are not paying for it because you have no goddamn capital. So that's why when people say, oh, come on, you gotta make reparations a class issue. It is a fucking class issue. And the poor white people are class traders. Yeah. It's that simple. Go ahead, James. Sorry, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to make that point. Go ahead.
And reparations isn't based on race; it's based on lineage. Because not all Black people will get reparations.
Yep.
So people need to realize that. There are some people who may be white passing that might actually get reparations because they are American descendants of slavery. So that's another thing that a lot of people don't realize. And also, when we talk about reparations, some of these things that also need to be addressed are because everybody just thinks it's about slavery. It's not just about slavery. It's about Jim Crow. It's about black codes. It's about redlining. It's about Tuskegee experiments. It's about what I talked about a few weeks ago, experiments on freedmen that are in prison and they're doing medical experiments on them. It's about the medical experiments that were done on Black female slaves, which actually encompass the entirety of gynecology of what we know today.
Yep.
So please, and so the thing is, like, we're not just talking about chattel slavery. We're talking about Jim Crow. We're talking about all these encompassing things. And then when people don't say, oh, well, that was back then. No, because some of our grandparents and great-grandparents are still alive today that experienced it. And yet you still don't want to do it. You still are opposed to it. And my thing is, if you oppose reparations for American descendants of slaves, you are a class traitor.
They don't oppose it for those who are survivors of the Holocaust, though.
Yeah, you're a class traitor. You do not stand with the working class, because if you stand with the working class, you got to stand with all the working class, not just a select few. You can't just cherry pick. And that's the thing. So even some of y'all who consider yourself to be on the left, if you're saying, well, I don't know about reparations, that's going to divide us, white people aren't going to like, why do you care?
And they're so self-destructive, because I know what racists say, bro. I hear what babies, why can't the Black community get their shit together? You know what the fastest way, if you guys are worried about the Black community, which obviously we can have a long conversation about poverty, crime, and all that shit. If you're worried about the Black community, what would clean up the Black community more than this amazing act of class warfare, the lights of humanity never seen before? Because if we was actually able to get reparations, it will be, as I said before, the largest transfer of wealth from the ruling class to the working class in human history. So if you're a white racist, like, oh my God, what's up with those Negroes? Why can't they get their shit together? Give us our fucking reparations and watch Black fucking businesses boom. Watch the Black community boom, which will lead to poor white people booming. Because if Black people have money, where do we spend our money? Into businesses. Then the businesses because this is basic economics, the more money that we had to spend, businesses boom, white people take home more money. Everyone benefit. This is what proletariat economics is. The people who believe in trickle-down economics, they believe you get money to the rich and the ruling class and then trickle down. But with reparations, we're talking about the largest, the most efficient class dynamic, class war activity of all time that will give money to the Black proletariat that we would spend into local communities. You know, that Arab who have a store in our community, they getting paid too. The poor white, imagine you're a white carpenter, you do carpenting carpentry for the black for me, your black neighbors. You're booming because we got fucking money. Like, how do people not understand? It will benefit everyone in the proletariat because it's a massive transfer of wealth from the ruling class to the working class. That's why when people say, "Oh, reparations," you got to talk about class. Have no idea what they're talking about. These are the same people who party and have fucking millionaires on their show talking about fucking class solidarity. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even know what class is. You haven't read here. You talking about fucking class. You know what I mean? But that's my last round. I love talking about reparations with you guys. Go ahead, guys.
Any last words, Sabs?
I think Nick summed it up right there.
I love
like the stream. You both are just a gift that keeps on giving. I just love you guys.
I always got a lot of energy for the roundtables. I always love being among my RBN family. Always very energizing. Go ahead, James.
All right, so let me go to the Rockman really quick, and then we'll go into. Let me check the Rumble just to check and see. Do we have any Rumble rants? Let me see. We're good on the Rumble side. All right, so let me go into the Rockfin. Oh, the rock to the fin. The rock to the fin. I'm doing my Sabby Sabs. Rock to the fin. All right. So, Lynn Reyes says, preach Sabby. Yes. And Hemkar says, the Holocaust was about 6 years, maybe an occupation, genocide of American Indians. Slavery and colonialism in Africa has been 400 years and no reparations. That's what we're saying.
Even indigenous Americans got treaties. Right. And I'm not going to count reservations because I think that's bullshit. I'm not going to count that you gave them a casino because I think that's just ridiculous. But even they got treaties. We have nothing. Nothing.
Yeah. And Sabby, remember the reparations plan? I remember there was a very important point that was made whenever these like oppression Olympics shit come up. Like, we want those reparations to be paid. I'm glad that they got their reparations. I think we should pay reparations to the Palestinians that we slaughtered. Native Americans should get more reparations. We are pro-reparations. We are pro-restorative justice. Our question is why everyone pro-restorative justice until you guys start talking about the black community? Black people, we're the only one who call for reparations for everybody. And this is, I'm talking about the serious people. I'm not talking about the ops and the wreckers. I'm talking about the people that like Sabby interviewed. The true ADOS organizers. Well, I should say reparations organizers. They will say we support reparations for everybody. Everyone should be paid for the crimes of the Western Empire. I speak for myself more than anything, I guess. There's a position of me and my friends. This is the RBN position. People I know in the left, in the black leftist community. We support reparations for everyone. So that's why it's extremely weird to us when people do oppression. Oh, you guys don't deserve reparations. The fuck you mean? Isn't that being a class traitor? Putting those divides among the working class and putting down these markers on who deserve what and not. We're not doing that, are we, Sabby? Like, we do our scientific research, we figure out how much we are owed, and we want you to do the same thing, boo-boo. Like, we want you to do the same fucking thing. And trust me, I'll be down for it because I think the Western Empire owes a lot of people shit. You know what I mean? But
even if you, and I highly recommend, if you guys get the chance, if you actually look at the ADOS website, you will see they have a plan for it's not just for, descendants of American descendants of slavery, but you will see they even have a plan, like a bullet point for those who were enslaved in the Caribbean. They even have a plan. But see, people don't look, people don't do no research. They don't want to read anything. Yeah. People just, you know what I mean? And then they get all up in their feelings. Talk to some of them. Talk to people like Yvette Carnell. Like, bring them on. If you have a show, bring them on your show and talk to them about it. And stop going around saying this stupid stuff that is based on skin color. Reparations is not based on skin color. That's how I know you're not reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get to this comment really quick. Thank you so much to Geo for these super chats. And also, chattel slavery developed into today's prison system. It never ended. They're modern slaves, have their labor power stolen, and also are owed a debt. Agreed. Absolutely. Hang on. Wait, did it go down? Did it hide?
There we go.
I did it. I think it was stuck. So StreamYard does that sometimes.
Okay, yeah, it's stuck for me because I still see it. Okay. Due to the sake of time, because I'm not sure if you have a heart out. Let's go to the next Let's go to the next.
Yeah, I think it's Jaybe breaking up.
I think so. I think he had the link. Oh, he's back. Okay.
Yeah, he's going in now. It's all good.
I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's the CIA. Who knows? But let's get to the next one. Sorry, guys. I'm not sure what's going on. But all right. So we can go to President Yoon Got Stupid. So I'm not exactly sure about what happened. Well, I am sure about what happened. But what happened? Like, Nick, you're our foreign policy guy. Was this really just President Yoon basically trying to dip his toe in the water to see if he can actually have absolute power in South Korea as a puppet client state of the United States?
All right, let me tell you. All right. Let me tell you guys something about South Korea. South Korea is a shithole country. It's a complete shithole country. The country was founded based on the roots of one of the greatest bands of traitors we have seen in modern history. Now, I'm a big Korean nerd. There's a lot of domestic issues, like especially with the economy. There are a lot of people who have a lot of depression because South Korea is a capitalist shithole that rivals our own. Like, you guys know the suicide rates in South Korea is sky high. They barely get any paid vacation. Like, South Korea is the Western puppet project. Sabby, feel free, you want to chime in. I'm just getting some time. Go ahead. Sabby,
no,
go
this
ahead.
is true. I want to jump in and say something really quick because my former boss was from South Korea and she was talking about this before. So she would go home, I think, like once a year to visit. But the other thing too is in the professional spaces in South Korea, like for whatever reason, there does seem to be this obsession about plastic surgery and like how far you go can basically depend on how you look. Yeah. And this is not to say it's not like that in some fields in the US, but I'm talking about, like, we had students from South Korea who told us about this, that how they look would determine how far they can get in their career. Because this is why you guys see a lot of, like, if you notice a lot of the K-pop stars, you can tell there's been some work has been done, right? Yeah. So that's why. So there's that. And then there's this feeling of a lack of self-worth, like that type of thing. So yeah, like their depression rates are higher. At the same time, though, I will say South Korea produces, like, I think some of the best movies and TV shows that I've seen. But yeah, no, it's like a real thing.
Yeah, the United States, we got great entertainment too. I think no one can deny that. But a lot of the reasons that you stated, South Korea is a Western proxy, and they transform their society into a capitalist hellscape as an experiment. And I will say that the experiment has greatly failed because you guys hear about all this bullshit about North Korea. Everything they project on North Korea is true about South Korea. Do you guys know that you will get sent to prison in South Korea if you say anything positive about North Korea? You guys understand that South Korea is a police state where they don't have free speech. And something else you don't hear about is how there are plenty of people in South Korea who get arrested trying to flee into North Korea. Wait, what? I thought it was the exact opposite. Because, guys, they've lied to you about everything. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to mislead. There are some defectors from North Korea to South Korea, but there are more defectors from South Korea to North Korea. And whenever they try, they get locked into fucking prison. Because South Korea is a country full of fucking people in prison who can't break out. Their families are separated because these are descendants of traitors. So when I see Moon, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I know the complex domestic implications of what's going on in Korea. I know their economy is in shambles. I know their birth rate is low, just like Japan. They're going through a lot of problems like Japan is. But seeing Moon declare martial law and try to impose a fascist takeover, it will be nothing new. That will actually be tradition. That will be tradition because South Korea is deeply fascist. One thing I'll say, because we want to keep this segment short. You guys know I'm a history nerd. I tell you guys this all the time. I was obsessed with learning about Korea. You guys know how close North Korea was from winning the war. They had South Korea completely surrounded. And then those traitors from the South accepted help from foreign operatives and helped the United States kill over 2 million Korean people. Why? Because they were class loyal and they didn't want communism. So because they didn't want communism, they was willing to kill 2 million of their own people, including people who was tortured to death in some of the most grotesque ways. So imagine the kind of person you are because you're so scared of an economic system that empowers the workers that you're willing to lead to the death of 2 million of your people and lead to a state like North Korea in the first place. And then people in South Korea, when they do the research, they learn about it, they're like, holy shit, because they're descendants of traitors. And then whenever they start to talk about this and they educate each other about what the fuck is going on, they get sent to prison based on the earlier point I made. South Korea is a state that has no free speech. And I ended there because I can do a whole Korea Power Hour. I was very obsessed about this. The psyop that was turned on Americans about this country. But Sabby, I know you have a busy day, so I'll pass it to you. I can rant about this all day. But South Korea is essentially a shithole. I wouldn't say the same shithole they try to portray North Korea as, but it is indeed a shithole. But you know how they want Americans to hate North Korea? Sorry, Sabby, go ahead, Sabby. Go ahead.
They also have a pollution problem. So a friend of mine was a teacher in South Korea for a couple of years. Because if you're an American and you want to teach in South Korea, they pay you. Number one, they pay for you to get there. They pay you more, and they pay for your housing. So she had no bills really, right? So she taught over there for like years, and she said she had to come back to the U.S. because she said the air was slowly like causing her to be asthmatic, because they have such a high pollution rate. Yeah, a lot of people don't know about this because the air is just so, compared to what we're used to in the United States. So there's that too. But then also I think what people think they know about South Korea is, they have like, a lot more modern technology, like their public transportation is better than ours, like, to be honest. And of course, like the K-pop scene, and then like, the movies and all that kind of stuff. But they have issues just like any other place. And the censorship that Nick was talking about, I do want to touch on that for a second. One of the things that they said after the president of South Korea declared martial law is that they told the K-pop artists that they could not comment on what was happening politically.
I didn't know that.
You see what I'm saying? So,
all I'm saying is the North Korea they created is a fairy tale. I won't pretend South Korea is that bad, like the fake North Korea, but everything they project on North Korea is true of South Korea. It's extremely fascist. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of great entertainment. They make a lot of technological innovation, but that is what happened when you work your people to fucking death. You don't have any. Their worker protections are very shoddy. The pollution is very bad because deregulation. It's a capitalist experiment. But Jaybe, I'll pass it to you. I know we getting short on time. Go ahead.
Yeah, Sabby is about to go. Before Sabby goes, just want to let you guys know I do have an announcement to make. I will be putting out the link to the website. If anybody would like to donate a kidney to me, I'm actually able to do that now. So that is something I've been wanting to tell everybody about. But I will put that closer towards the end. Sabby, I know you have your stream at 8 p.m. So tell us what you got going on.
That's right. 8 p.m. I'll be live tonight, and there's 5 news stories that I'm going to cover. One of them that I think is probably one of the more interesting ones is the fact that New York City Mayor Eric Adams is now trying to, I guess, really stick it to Joe Biden. He's really sticking to the Biden administration, and he's calling out, the issue that they're having in New York with the migrant situation and asking for more resources. So now he is apparently saying that he's willing to work with Donald Trump. So that one should be interesting. And I wonder if this is Eric Adams' way also of trying to maybe get some type of pardon under Donald Trump's administration, because we all know, they charge Eric Adams for almost everything. So yeah, 8 p.m.
Yeah, Sabby, you're killing the game. We're extremely proud of you. So make sure you guys watch Sabby in their show. I got a few more minutes, Jaybe. I want to say one thing on Korea, and then I can cover Hunter Biden for a few minutes. South Korea is definitely complicated, but there are sources available. I did a stream on Syria this week. Syria is not as easy as Palestine, but the information is there. There's plenty of evidence of CIA influence. The crimes of the West against North Korea, it's infallible that people will repeat Western propaganda against North Korea after everything we did to them. We meddled into their civil affair, and we punished them from winning the war. Because remember, they had them surrounded until the United States came in. So as punishment for failing their task, we put sanctions on them. We starved them to death. We isolated from the global economy using U.S. hegemony as a weapon. But Americans hate North Korea? Americans are judgmental. It's something I will fight to my end of my days. I'm glad it's becoming more acceptable, but I will stay on the hill alone defending North Korea. Because it's weird, and I don't want to call these people like I like a lot of these people. There are people I like, man. I don't want to call people I like, but there are people I like that I will see them repeat bullshit about North Korea. Oh, we are authoritarian hellhole like North Korea. Show me your sources. These same people don't believe the government about anything. They don't believe the CIA about anything, but they believe everything they say about North Korea with no sources. They just believe it because they are an Asian country, and of course they're crazy. So that's my last thought, JB. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, so in fact, this Tuesday, I will be having on a North Korea expert to educate me and the audience about North Korea. So that's going to be a really good show on my channel. So be sure to tune in to that. Just wanted to get into this article as well. Nick, you're probably going to laugh. Probably, which I live for. I live for helping you to have some joy. So this is from Democracy Now! It says South Korean lawmakers unveil impeachment motion as President Yoon Suk Yeol faces insurrection probe. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
So South Korean police. South Korean police are investigating President Yoon Suk Yeol for insurrection after his declaration of martial law on Tuesday. Under South Korean law, anyone found guilty of leading an insurrection may receive a death sentence. Yoon was forced to revoke his martial law order 6 hours after announcing it amid widespread opposition and protest. Opposition lawmakers introduced a motion to impeach Yoon, what is set to be voted on Saturday. This is lawmaker Kim Seung-won addressing the National Assembly. He said it was a moment of military treason that we considered disappeared in the history. He has committed an unforgivable sin. Nick, are you shocked, surprised, dismayed? What are you right now?
I'm not shocked. I've seen coverage from liberals that seem like they're shocked, but you gotta see, from my opinion, is so out of the mainstream, but I'm telling you, it is based and correct. Like anyone who, like, you guys think there's a coincidence that they lie to you so much about North Korea versus South Korea? You are taught to like South Korea because they are extremely close to the state of Israel, and they are supportive of the state of Israel. North Korea have been supportive of a Palestinian state for decades. Decades. They've been fully supportive of the Palestinian state. Israel is not even recognized as a nation, according to North Korea. And now are you guys starting to realize why you've been lied so much about North Korea? Now, I'm not saying North Korea is perfect, but imagine you're a country that is sanctioned by the largest empire known to man, but you still find a way to give them health care? You still find a way to give them housing. You know, they provide housing for free for people in North Korea. Find me a skid row in North Korea. Don't worry, I'll wait. If you think the ruling class have footage, imagine if the ruling class had footage of, sorry to go on another rant, James, sorry, but imagine if the ruling class had footage of North Koreans in the street dying of starvation, barely able to breathe because they're suffering so much. You know what? You never seen it, haven't you? You think if they didn't have that evidence that North Korea was the shithole they portrayed to you, it wouldn't be blasted everywhere? And you know how you see like those starving African kids? You think you wouldn't see starving North Korean kids everywhere you go? You don't, because they feed their people. They take care of their people. They house their people, and they do it despite the worst sanctions we've seen. Probably Cuba is the only people that rival North Korea in terms of sanctioning. So despite being sanctioned, North Korea provided people healthcare, housing, And people wonder why North Koreans have a diehard loyalty to their government. Imagine you as a people, 2 million of your man, it was only what 60 years ago? People in Korea, they have relatives who was murdered in the Korean War. So your relatives was murdered by the Western demon. The Kim family come, they fight against the Western regime, create a society that managed to take care of their own people while resisting Western imperialism. And you surprised that people have respect for the ruling class that did that? The ruling class that fought against the Western Empire instead of banning it, instead of bowing to it. You want to know who bowed to Western Empire? South Korea. South Korea bowed to them. And now they live in a pollution hellhole where everyone is depressed.
Yeah, my grandfather fought in Korea.
I ended there, guys. I talked to Eva Bartlett, who I will have again on soon. She's been to North Korea, man. Like, there's a reason why they try to tell you Dennis Rodman was crazy. All the people go to North Korea every time. They're like, what the fuck? This is nothing like I was told. And so in order to cover for that, they're like, oh, well, North Korea, they just put on a special show for you. You mean the tourism industry? So when people go to America, James, do they go to Skid Row? Or do they go to a 5-star hotel? Or do they go to
I live in Orlando. Trust me, I know where they go.
So when people go to North Korea, they visit and they don't see Skid Rows. Then people are like, oh, well, that's because they got complicated tourism where they put fake cities. And it'd be my last thought. Which is more likely? That North Korea has a complicated system of fake cities where they manage to trick tourists into thinking that they're a functioning state somehow, or the West just lied to you about North Korea? Which one's more likely? Just a quick question.
They speak summer.
This is why you're not going to see me invite on the Hill no more, guys, because Robbie tried to question me on Venezuela, got ate alive. The anti-intellectualism in the West is astounding, which is why I'm blacklisted, because they don't want this funk. The amount of readily available information that completely dismantles what the best word I'm looking for? The folklore, the fiction, the lore of America. You guys realize Americans, they don't know history, they don't know current events. They believe in a lore. The lure of America being the freedom fighting state. The lure of Americans standing up for democracy. The lure of North Korea being evil, of Russia being evil, China being evil. The average American, including political commentators, are ignorant. They just go based on lures. So decolonize your mind and look into the information yourself. That's my last thought. James, anything else you want to say? I gotta leave here soon. Anything else you want to say? Anything else you want to add to? We can read some super chats as well. Anything else, James?
I have one more segment I wanted to get into about Hunter Biden. We can make that really quick because, we can clown on him all day, but we can make it really quick. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. We make a quick segment.
Okay. So just go ahead and give a like to the stream. Thank you so much to everybody. Appreciate it very much. We're going to go right into the Hunter Biden because I really want to get your thoughts on this because this was hilarious. Everybody is like, shit libs are going crazy saying that, oh, you should be able to pardon your kid if he did something wrong. And we're like, that's not the issue. Like, they're so stuck on the pardoning part. We're stuck on the hypocrisy part. Please, your thoughts.
Yeah. It was always going to happen. There's a lot of these excuses that Democrats are making. They're saying that the reason why they did this is because Trump was going to go after Hunter Biden. It was always the plan to pardon Hunter, even if he won. Like, you guys think if Biden would have won this election, if Kamala would have won this election, Biden not running for re-election, his political career over, you think he wouldn't have pardoned Hunter in that situation? Well, imagine an alternate scenario where the results was inverted, where instead of a Republican dominant win, you had Democrats who won the House, they won the Senate, Kamala won by a comfortable margin. You think Biden wouldn't have fucking pardoned Hunter in this scenario where Democrats had literally nothing to lose? And if anything, Democrats said, oh, we got a damn near mandate to pardon Hunter. You know what I mean? So it was going to happen no matter what. And that's why I don't support police states, because you guys see the ruling class, and this is consistent how they talk about white collar crime. They believe in relaxed, laissez-faire interpretation of the law when it comes to the ruling class. Like that rich white boy who raped a girl and got 6 months light prison sentence. He raped someone and got 6 months. That's a story that went viral. I remember it was like the affluenza kid. It was a viral story at the time. But that's just one of the many examples how if you ask the ruling class how they feel about crime, when it comes to them, you gotta be relaxed, you gotta be forgiving. But when it comes to the proletariat, when it comes to the working class, they believe in vicious, ruthless law and order. You do the crime, you do the time. Hell, even if you don't do the crime, you're still gonna do the time because we got a police system, a plea deal system where 90% of people locked up just committed to a crime so they wouldn't get a longer term. Isn't that amazing?
Yep,
absolutely. Most people, by the way, most people in prison are innocent. They took plea deals because they didn't want to serve a longer term. That's what it is. I don't support this. This is my last thought. I don't support this police state for the workers as long as they have a relaxed, laissez-faire system for the ruling class. And I will never, and you can call me hypocrite if you want. I don't give a fuck. I will never advocate for the change of the system until it applies to workers. What I mean for that is I don't support this giant police state. But if you're a billionaire, I want you to suffer the harshest. If you're part of the ruling class, I want you to suffer from the system that you guys created. I'm not going to be an abolitionist on your fucking behalf. I will advocate for the working class. And until you guys clean the system up, you will never catch me dead. Like, oh my God, I think we should forgive Hunter. Oh, I technically believe that you shouldn't be in prison for drug and gun charge. Fuck that. It never starts at the ruling class. It starts at the working class, and they can sleep in the bed that they created. But based on this story, you will see they would never actually sleep in that bed because we have two different sets of law, one that applies to rich kids and one that actually applies to the rest of us. So that's my last thought, Jaybe. I got you going. But that's my last thought. You mind covering the rest of this?
Sure, I can cover the rest of this and I can finish up.
Yeah, for sure. I'm streaming tomorrow as well. I'm going to have Dr. Sabrina on. We've been juggling dates, but I think we have one locked in for tomorrow. I have a ton of banger guests next week, including someone I've been looking forward to having, Vanessa Beasley, on Wednesday. Let me pull the list. We got a lot. Zoya has always been in the lab cooking. So let me pull. We also have Dan Cohen. I couldn't forget that. Dan Cohen joined on Monday. Dr. Sabrina on Friday. Vanessa Beasley on Wednesday. So we got a lot planned. We also have the host of Syrian Analysis. He joining on Friday as well. So that's the first time I met him, but I've seen his banger tweets. The point is we got a lot of great guests coming up. So a lot of great content coming your way. Hope you guys enjoy the roundtable. James, I'll pass it to you. I keep going. I'll pass it to you, let you finish up. Have a good one, my brother.
All right, man. Take care. All right. So I just want to get into this really quick. This is actually Charlemagne the God speaking, and Whoopi Goldberg gets triggered. Let's go.
Let me ask you something that's going around right now. A lot of this conversation about President Biden getting criticized from both sides of the aisle for pardoning his son Hunter after repeatedly saying he would never do it. And a lot of people are saying that it's hypocritical, etc., as if the other side doesn't do it. But what's your reaction to it?
I mean, I think all of the criticism is valid because, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time. And, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything in regards to, whether or not, his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, hey, man, I'm not focused on that right now. But since they were calling Trump a threat to democracy and they were saying that, nobody's above the law, but they were speaking about him, that's what they were running on. So when he kept saying things like, nobody's above the law, I respect, the jury's decision in regards to my son, he didn't believe that. But he didn't have to volunteer that lie to begin with.
I'm going to stop you for a second.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm going to stop you for a second because here's the thing. There's absolutely no reason for Joe Biden to actually say anything in regards to, he could have just said, I'm not going to be focused on, we'll meet that bridge when we get there, or we'll talk about that on another time. He could have just, circled around it. But instead, he said, I will not pardon my son. He said on multiple occasions. On top of that, you have the Democratic Party that kept saying nobody's above the law, nobody's above the law, over and over and over. And yet now we see that some people are above the law. And so when you say something and then you knowingly go back on it and completely fabricated what you were going to do to something completely different now, going a completely different direction, knowingly, you lied. And so, Whoopi, you can stop him all you want. But the thing is stop trying to make excuses for a liar. But there she goes.
Only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed
You really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend all of a
No,
sudden?
I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he did just change. Even if he just changed his mind, he's still a lie because he said what he was going to do, what he wasn't going to do, and he changed it into something completely different. So now it's, oh, he just changed his mind. See, this is Whoopi Goldberg moving the goalpost.
I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get over.
Miss Whoopi Goldberg, let me ask you this. Since when did two wrongs make a right? So, okay, so you said that, oh, he's sick and tired of everybody else getting over, but he said that he wouldn't pardon his son. If he was sick and tired of it, why didn't he say, well, hell yeah, I'm gonna pardon my son? He could have did it. He could have did it weeks ago. He could have did it months ago, but he chose not to do it.
Over. And this is just my feeling, because at some point you get to the place where you just go, so I'm just going to follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats.
But that's their fault. They're the ones that go out. They're the ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground. Listen, they don't have to do that.
I'm a Democrat.
Exactly. Because here's the thing. The issue isn't necessarily the pardoning. It is the hypocrisy. Because here's the thing. Every single time, like when Donald Trump does a whole bunch of executive orders, oh my God, Donald Trump, he's doing a whole bunch of executive orders. Why? He's going to do a bunch of executive orders. Like Joe Biden can't do the exact same thing. And when Donald Trump does it, the courts are like, sorry, it's legal. But then when we say, Joe Biden, do what Donald Trump did, do a whole bunch of executive orders that will actually help the people. Oh, sorry, his hands are tied. He can't do it. So either he can or he can't. Oh, but for pardoning his son, he can do it. But he can't do it for the people who are affected by the 1994 crime bill that he helped author. See what I mean? I don't have a problem with him pardoning his son. I have a problem with him pardoning his son when other people have the same issues, are in prison for the same things, and he goes, new phone, who this? That's the problem I have. Because here you have a white dude that is getting off scot-free once again. And a lot of people who look like me, including people who like my deceased uncle that sat there in prison under the law of the 94 crime bill that kept him in there. That's what I have a problem with. And yes, this is personal. Damn it.
Tell me what the moral high ground is.
The moral high ground is nobody's above the law. I respect what the jurors are saying. You don't have to do that.
So we're mad at him because he changed his.
No. By the way, I'm not mad at him pardoning Hunter Biden.
But you sound like you're
No.
If I can get in on this, I actually think it went further, and this is one thing we really disagree on. Joe Biden made a point of saying we stand by our institutions and the impartiality of the Department of Justice.
Yes.
Democrats ran on that. The same DOJ indicted Hunter Biden. How we shouldn't be saying it's corrupt like Donald Trump does. But then in his statement pardoning Hunter Biden, he says that it was a political pursuit by his own Department of Justice.
Can you explain to me why it is that when Joe Biden does something, everybody clutches their pearls. He's wrong.
Nobody
he lied.
has criticized Donald Trump more than me or Charlamagne.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, people have criticized him more. I've criticized him more. We've all criticized him more, but you're missing my question.
Okay.
My question is, what is it that makes people flip out with Joe, but we don't have the same kind of thing?
Well, I don't think people are flipping.
Hang on. Whoopi right now sounds like Meghan McCain with Donald Trump. Because when Donald Trump did stuff and he was hypocritical, they did flip out. They flipped out, rightfully so, right? Donald Trump touted himself as a law and order president, and yet next thing you know, he's doing pardons for people, especially for his buddies. And so that's the problem, is that Joe Biden is doing something that Donald Trump would do. That's what people are saying. You cannot throw stones in a glass house. This is the issue that a lot of people are claiming. Look, I don't have a problem with if you pardoning somebody for, some things, okay, but you need to be ready to pardon other people for the same things. And Joe Biden's not ready to do that. It also would mean if he's going to pardon people for the things that his son have done, right? It also means he would also invalidate his 1994 crime bill that he helped authored. That's what it would do. He would end up going back on what he originally stated.
Out with Joe. I think Democrats are flipping out with Joe because Democrats believe that they don't represent what he's currently representing, but that's just not true. That's why I say they stand on this moral high ground that simply does not exist. And I think this is also the problem when we pick sides, right? We've turned political parties into teams. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. Ain't nobody more delusional than me, right? Okay. I feel like we're going to the Super Bowl every year, but I'm not delusional. Well, no, that is delusional. But when it comes, but when it comes to political parties, if you pick a side, right? If you say you're a Democrat, if you say you're a Republican, you refuse to be objective about anything.
That's why I'm an independent.
Yes, but
I think that's the best way to go.
Yep. Charlamagne was actually right about this one. I don't agree with Charlamagne on everything, but he was right on this one. Because the team sports is BS. Because you guys automatically think in your head that the Democratic Party is on the right side, or you'll think they're right on the right side most of the time, so therefore they are the good guys. And then you'll think the Republican Party is on the right side, on the wrong side of history, or most of the time, and you think they're the bad guys. When in reality, it's really team sports. And the thing is that they both sides know that it's team sports, and they play on you thinking and cheering for their side so that they both end up playing both in everybody's face. Both parties playing everybody's face. That's the problem, because we're so focused on team sports in this country that team red or team blue, I mean, besides the Super Bowl, election day. That's the biggest. Why are we betting on the Super Bowl? Why are we betting on elections? Why are we betting on it? They play in our face.
But that's not a monolith. We're not, Democrats are not a monolith.
Well, why can't you say when Democrats are wrong? And why can't Republicans say when Republicans are wrong?
I'll tell you when Democrats are wrong.
So you don't think Joe Biden is wrong?
No, I don't. And can I just point this out to you? The president has a pardon power, right?
I
didn't say you were ridiculous, Ms. Goldberg.
Yeah.
All right, so they're going to start getting into playing around, but that's the issue, right? And they have said countless times that nobody's above the law, and yet they allow somebody to be above the law, and then they make excuses for people who are above the law. And that's the issue. My thing is like, if you want to be more restorative in regards to justice for people, fine. I am all for that. I actually appreciate restorative justice for people because that's what I'm about. I am an abolitionist. I believe in restorative justice. But don't sit there and say nobody's above the law and then say that you're not going to pardon your son, and then you go ahead and turn around and do it. And then on top of it, you don't do it for anybody else. You didn't do it for Marcellus Williams. You bastard. You didn't do it for him. So it is rules for thee, but not for me. You could have done something. You could have spoke out for Marcellus Williams, but you said nothing. Nothing. A black man sat on death row and you said nothing. And these Democratic Party cronies are like, oh, you want them to try to say something? They can't say anything. Yes, they could. They can give their opinions. Nobody batted an eye when George Zimmerman shot Trayvon Martin, and then Barack Obama said, Trayvon Martin could have been my son. But yet, Joe Biden can't say, I think that he should be free. Like, nah, bro. Nah. And let me share this, because this is what they said. They said it all day, every day, until it was time for Joe Biden to pardon Hunter.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
No one 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 is above the law.
Let me mute that. And this is what they said. Absolutely.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. And so with that, I'm letting you know right now, this is why we talk about the issue is that Donald Trump would have did this for Ivanka, Jared, or Don Jr. He would have did the same. I'm sure a lot of you would have pardoned your kid. But you also wouldn't have done anything as hypocritical as either of them did. So, yeah. Thank you, everybody. Go ahead and give a like to the stream. Appreciate it very much. Thank you very much for that. So let me go into some of the comments in the chat, and then we can head on out. Let me check to see if we have any Rumble rants. I don't think we have any Rumble rants. Nope. All right, we are good on that. Let's go into the Rockfin chat. All right. All right. Thank you so much for the Rockfin chat. You see. Hemcar says half of the tribes only have casinos, I think. Probably. I'm not too sure on that. I have to look into it. Thank you for the tip on Rockfin Roger. He says not just labor, Nick, but redlining Iran-Contra with CIA bringing crack into our communities, devastating our hoods. Also, it's not just white people who are against reparations, savage. There are black people who don't qualify, Spanish people, Asian, etc. Lynn says that not every tribe member shares in the casino money. Oh, yeah, good points. Thank you very much for this, Hemp Car. So from Jerusalem Post says 50,000 Holocaust survivors living in Israel living in poverty. Wow. Let me share that into the chat. Yeah, that's interesting too, because a lot of people who are Holocaust survivors, they're in Israel, and they shouldn't be living in poverty, but yet here we are. I did not know that. Wow. Wait, I did know that, but I forgot. I'll put it that way. I did know that, but I forgot. Thank you very much for that. Hemp car. It says, seems like reparations for Holocaust survivors never really met the true victims. Interesting. It says, what about the immigrants from, say, Guatemala? They had to flee the U.S.-backed dictatorship. I don't know if they could have been descendants of slaves there. Have to make those exploiting fans to pay to be sided with pro-Hitler forces in South Korea, I believe. I think Bruce Gagnon said that. MLK, Martin Luther King said General Kai in Vietnam said his greatest hero was Hitler. Under Gladio, we back more Nazis, I'm sure, than Ukraine. Should draw a line and mail to this to school, media, and government donors. This is combating glorification of Nazism, neo-Nazism, and practices that contribute to the fueling contemporary forms of racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and racial intolerance. Interesting. Oh, wow. Okay. That's all the yeses and nos that were voted on. Thank you very much for that, Hemp car. Thank you very much. All right. And so let me go into the rest of the chat here. I don't know. Let me see. Do we have any super chats? Yeah. Roger Meadows asked, how many of those California black legislators are freedmen? That's actually a good question. You know, a lot of times they're you know, some of them aren't who reject it because, you know, they feel like, well, I'm not going to get it anyway because reparations is lineage based, and so I might as well not. And I'm like, you don't do it based on whether you get it or not. You do it based because it's the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, if there was a reparations deal for Palestinians, would I be happy for the Palestinians? Hell yeah. Would I stand by the Palestinians to get the reparations for the United States? Because the United States was one of the countries that was paying for the weapons in order to destroy and, you know, destroy their lives. Yes, I honestly do think that reparations is owed to the Palestinians, right? It's just like the same thing when it comes to Chile. What happened in Chile, you know, when they took out Salvador Allende and replaced it with the dictator Pinochet. Do I think that the Chileans should get reparations from the United States of America? Absolutely. The thing is that, you know, just because it does not benefit you personally does not mean that it's not the right thing to do. And so no matter who you are in this country, especially if you're on the left, especially if you consider yourself to be a Marxist, if you especially consider yourself to be somebody who's for the working class, then you would support freedmen, American descendants of slavery, to get the debt owed from the work that our ancestors have done in order to make this country what it is today. And so we should be, you know, centered on, you know, when it comes to solidarity with all marginalized groups. And yes, American descendants of slavery, freedmen, are also a marginalized group. And my thing is, are you going to actually have solidarity with us or not? And that's why I said, if you are not for reparations, cash reparations for those of us who are American descendants of slavery, aka freedmen, then you are a class traitor, because you're cherry picking or picking and choosing who should get any type of recompense for their surplus value that's been stolen from them. Let's put on our hats and apply Marxist, Maoist, Leninist analysis and actually think about the American descendants of slavery in, you know, when it comes to reparations for them. Didn't I show this already from Geo? Yes, I already showed this from Geo, but thank you again for the super chat. Let me check to see. I don't hope I didn't skip any super chats. If I did, please let me know in the chat. Hope I don't miss that. But I think we're good for the most part. I'm just checking. Sorry, guys. I'm just going up, just making sure. Because it doesn't automatically star like it's supposed to. It's supposed to automatically star them all, and it hasn't. I think we're good for the most part. But thank you very much. Now, Kaya Grigor says, I'd be honored to give you one of my kidneys. Let me share this with you guys. So I went to the physician today. I saw the transplant surgeon, and I talked to the transplant coordinators. And one of the things that they said was, even though I'm not currently on the list yet, what I can do is I can let people know that I'm on the list. I'm not on the list yet, but if anybody wants to get themselves tested to see if be a possible donor, you can. And for people like me, it is better to get a living donor than it is to get a deceased donor, because living donor kidneys tend to last longer. It could be between 15 to 20 years versus for a deceased donor, it could be between at the low end 7 years, at the high end maybe 12 years, right? So with that being said, living donors can be anywhere pretty much within the country, within the continental United States. And so if you would like to get yourself tested, I can give you guys a link. As long I think they do it through Quest Diagnostics as well. But if you guys want to, I can give you guys the link, and then I'll also take a picture of the QR code so you guys can get that and go straight to the link. I'll post it on my socials as well. But let me grab the card and put on the living donor hang on. I thought I had it right here. Oh, I have it right here. Okay. So let me type in the link and then I'll post it on there. Okay, so let me just put a lowercase o, and then I will share it in the chat. Now, this is a very big issue. So you guys know that I've been dealing with kidney dialysis. I've been doing kidney dialysis for almost 17 years, so 16 and a half years. It'll be 17 years in May. And so for a lot of people, I am blessed in a way where I actually have more reach. I have more of a reach. I have more of a following, so it's easier for me to do this. And also, there are some people who may have do not have anybody around that could be a living donor, and they may have to depend on deceased donors. And I'd rather not take that out of the system for people who may be more in need, even though I could go on the deceased donor list as well. But you guys can, I can get this done through a living donor. It just, leaves people open, so that they don't have to have less deceased donors to choose from. So that's also another thing. But yeah, so that's what you guys, that's if you guys want to go to tgh.org/living kidney donor. So, and then what I'll do is I will take a picture of the QR code so you guys can have that on your socials. But yes, I am in need of a kidney, and I've been in need for a kidney for a while now, and I'm going to be trying to finish up on my my process of getting in on the list. So I appreciate you guys. Anybody that wants to think about it, and please think about it deeply. Do not make it a flippant decision. Even if you're not a match for me, there's things like kidney swaps where you don't give it to me, but you give it to somebody who's the same blood. Oh, and people were asking, I am O positive blood type. So if anybody wants to know, yes, I am O positive. Hopefully, once I get this one more imaging thing done, then they'll send it to the board, and then the board approves. And then once I get on the list, they said I could be I would go automatically to the top of the list because I've been on dialysis for so long. And so then it could be a few months, right? So yeah. So I am hopeful about this because I do want to improve my quality of life, primarily because I want to do more work on the ground, because we have to save ourselves, and I can do better by my community if I'm healthier. So that's why. So thank you guys so much. You guys have that there. And then I'll share it into the chat one more time so you guys can have that. And yeah. So I appreciate you guys. Hang on. Let me shrink this. Okay. While I have it copied, I'm going to put that. Okay. All right. So with that being said, and another couple of things. Everybody was asking in regards to Rome. Yes, Rome, he's doing okay. Just keeping your eyes peeled. His girlfriend is also on Twitter. So right now we're still raising money for his commissary. So here is the link as well for Rome, if you guys want to assist him in that. Because he has done so much work on the ground. We want to make sure that we do what we can for him. So if you guys would like to, you guys have that there as well. I cannot speak about exactly the issues legally, but Rome has been a hero to me, and I want to make sure those of us at RBN, we continue to support him however we can. So you guys all right. So you guys have the link there. Make sure that he has enough for his cup of noodles and his cigarettes. Okay. So love you, Rome, if you ever see this again. Yes. Yes. And Marvin, I cannot say, because legally, I want to make sure that he gets the best support that he possibly can. All right. So right now I think he's still in Ohio, but home wise, he lives in Michigan. So that I will say. But yes, best wishes to Rome. Definitely. All right. So, and then also one more thing. Of course, I'm part of the RBN Orlando chapter. We're currently raising money for our next mutual aid. We don't have a plan for exactly when yet, but we are raising as much as we possibly can right now. So Orlando Mutual Aid Chapter. If you guys would like to donate, you guys can donate at $Orlando RBN. We're doing this as well because ultimately we're trying to do what we can for our communities, right? We love our communities and we care about our communities, and we want to make sure that everybody is doing well. We want the world to win, and that starts off with our local communities. So if you guys would like to, you guys can go to Orlando RBN on Cash App and donate whatever you feel that you can. Or if you can't, then just make sure to share widely. So thank you so very much for that. Now, of course, on my channel, I will be doing the readings of these books. So Presidential by Margaret Kimberly, The Will of Change by Bell Hooks, as in Of Water in the Spirit by Melodoma Some. So I will be reading these. And oh, by the way, this weekend, I will be having on Richard Medhurst this Saturday on my channel. So if you guys would like to, you guys can tune in to that. I'll be asking Richard Medhurst about what's going on geopolitically. So that's going to be a really great show that we're going to be doing. I think it's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I can't wait to have Richard back on. So with that being said, look, let me do this. We got to give a shout out to the patrons on Patreon, because without you guys, we would not be able to do this. And we have that right here. All right. So without you guys, this channel does not happen. So just want to thank you all for being the bee's knees. Yes, I just used that word. No, I am not ashamed. You all are the bee's knees, and y'all bring that honey to keep us healthy. So without further ado, here is the patrons list. Now, the things that we do on the ground, like for instance, Sabby is going to be doing some mutual aid, I think in about a week or two. So yeah, it just allows her to be able to do mutual aid on the ground as well. This literally keeps the lights on so that we can do more. And also, like for instance, those of us here in Orlando, we're going to try to have another mutual aid action. I would like to see if we can do one in February, if not late January, but we need to meet and do that. But we're also going to be doing another collaboration with Real Orlando. Real is an acronym for Revolutionary Education Action League. They are another mutual aid group here in Orlando, and we're going to be doing what we can with them as well. So I'm excited to get together with them on that one. So yes, that being said, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Like I always say, water your plants, water yourselves, leave the world better than you found it. And do all the things if you got them. And oh, by the way, a shout out to Dr. CBS. She wasn't feeling good today. So look, we hope that you feel better. Wishing you a peaceful, easy, and quick recovery as well. Sorry, everybody. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Mwah, forehead kisses, because that's the kind of guy I am. And time to eat.